Good everyone, welcome to today's video, and today we have a premium re-review of the BTD-1. This one isn't really as important to re-review due to what changes this vehicle has had, but I still wanted to re-review it just to put forward across the point that even with the bombload and things like that have been changed, this thing's still a cracker for what it does. So the BTD-1, when I reviewed it, had access to a wide range of different bomb loads. I believe the bomb loads were 4 500-pounders, 6 250-pounders, it doesn't even get to 250s anymore. Of course, 2 1000s, 2 mines, and 2 torpedoes. There have been a couple of changes in that regard, and obviously a couple of flight model changes as well to talk about. So everything else from the original BTD video is still relevant. The guns are still fine, although the universal belt does spark, and so does the ground target belt. So I would advise running stealth. Obviously, you're going to see in this gameplay I'm a little bit rusty with stealth, but air targets might work for you as well. The APT that is basically useless can help you to guide in your shots anyway. Obviously, the APT isn't useless against AI ground targets, so don't be worried about that. They still work perfectly fine. It's just against aircraft. So the BTD-1, again, it doesn't really have anything else to really talk about. The engine's still the same. The weight in the center is still the same. These fuel tanks are still very vulnerable, and this is where most of your fuel goes anyway. But the main thing to talk about is the bomb loads and everything like that. This is what has changed. This does affect its performance in terms of a ground attack aircraft. So, you can't obviously take it without bombs, which, to be honest, if you're going to try and do what I've been doing in this thing, you're probably going to want to do that. But generally, I take the lightest bomb load, so then I at least have something to work with. This is 2 500-pounders. They're perfectly acceptable, although for some reason 2 500-pounders is not enough for a pillbox, which makes no sense to me. But, you know. We also have access to a new bomb, which is a 1,600-pound AN Mark 1 bomb. Now, I have not tested this bomb, but looking at the explosive mass, I think this thing's going to be more for a naval sort of player. But judging by the performance of the Japanese 800-kilogram bomb, I'm not holding much hope as to what this bomb can do. As for the mines, they are completely unchanged. If you're going for base bombing, you're going to want these. The 1,000-pounders are your more conventional bombs. I find the mines are very hit and miss when it comes to ground targets, specifically AI-controlled ground targets. So in ARB, I'd use these for bases and nothing more. Use the guns for the rest. But if you want to do more ground-pounding focus, and you're in a squad, do take the 1000s, they have more punch. And then obviously the torpedoes have not changed in that regard. But obviously lacking the 6 250s, and not having as many 500-pounders does affect it as a ground attack aircraft. And obviously without the main bomb load, because obviously it did used to have a 2,000-pounder as well, it is losing a bit of its touch. However, that doesn't make this thing bad. It is still a good aircraft in the right hands. It won't beat things like fighters in dedicated dogfights, so you're going to have to use the bomber spawn that you get carefully. But personally, I've had an absolute blast getting the footage for this video, which you're going to see. And obviously, with a bit of skilled gameplay, you can obviously do quite well. But in general, I do think this aircraft's still worth picking up. Obviously, over a XP50, the XP50 obviously wins in that regard. The US 109F4 with the 151 nerf for now, I personally wouldn't, unless you're on a really low ping like mine. The A6720 is again another good option. So realistically, you have 3 good options. Obviously, the 109F4 still does work, so this is still a good pickup. But generally, if you're a normal player that doesn't like bombers, you are probably going to want to fly the XP50. But I'm going to hand you over to the gameplay now. As I said, the armor and the flight profile hasn't really changed. They've just fixed a bit of the wobbling, which is nice. But other than that, if you want more in-depth coverage of the vehicle, do make sure to look at the first video that I did on the BTD. But obviously, this is just a general update to just point out the changes that have happened since that video. But anyway, I'm going to hand you over to the gameplay now, and I will see you all on the next one. Okay, we've got a dot just up here. I don't know what it is, but... Well, I need bombers for a task, so I might as well go for it. That's AI. B-18, oh boy. I really don't want to see that, but... Let us hope he is not paying attention. The key word is hope, because if he is paying attention, I'm dead.
Attention to the map.
I'm running stealth, so I'm a bit unused to it, but I can try. Got a crit, that's better than nothing. That tore most of the tail apart. The reason why I'm using stealth, by the way, is they've nerfed the universal belt, which I normally would use. Yeah, they've kind of nerfed the universal belt. It sparks. The stealth belt really doesn't. Like, you do get the occasional, very rare spark. But, you know, I mean, it's better than nothing. I'll let the whirlwind die for that guy. I'm not going to chase him. I know I need bombers for my task, but I'm not going to chase a bomber all the way down to the deck. There's no point. Especially not one that's crippled already. And besides, if later I find him, I'll just go back and kill him. It's fine. Right. P-63 would ideally be my first target. I don't know what that is, but because of Gaijin's thingy, we're just going to ignore it and go for the 63. I'm under-leading a little bit, that's okay. See, many people don't expect a BTD to go fighter mode, and when they do, they get caught off guard like that. Right, given the enemy attention that I'm getting, I think we're going to work my way down, potentially. But, I can help engage that Yak-9. I think the B-18 has managed to get away, which is annoying, but I might see him on the return. There he is. And he's re-climbing. I don't really want him above my team, so I'm going to go for him. The rest of the guys appear to be low anyway, so I'm going to go for the B-18 and see if I can't finish him off. Okay, Spitfire and a Yak-9 at high altitude, that is okay. There we go. High speed lockup's still bad in this thing, but that's fine. I'm going to just drop the air brake, lose some speed, which this thing does very well. See if I can't force a head on. No, he's trying to break off. No anymore, you're not, pal. I need to pull off here because I'm gaining too much speed. You can just see how wobbly it is at high speed. It's not too bad at low speed for that. But it's still noticeable to the point where you kind of need to take action. So that's up to 3 kills. We're doing okay so far. This is also going to help towards that Battle Pass challenge that I'm working on as well. I'm going to try and assist my teammate. I think he's got this in the bag, but I might as well give him a hand, see if I can't get a shot, or at least distract the enemy aircraft. There we go. Right, open the bomb bay doors for a bit more drag. The Yak-9's running, so I'm going to go and ground pound. So you can have some fun in this plane every so often. Just be warned though, if you do use stealth, they're not going to do a lot against armoured ground targets like the medium tanks, the pillboxes, etc. But that's why you bring a couple of bombs and just do it that way. And to demonstrate that, let's hopefully... Really? Apparently the guy just buffed the freaking pillbox health, but alright. There we go. 4 air kills, 2 ground kills. Yeah, this thing's still got it. Mainly though, it's the payloads that have really affected this plane. That's why I'm obviously re-reviewing it. As obviously the intro would have stated. But if I was to be brutally honest, the payloads don't matter. It's the plane that does. And considering they've fixed most of the level flight wobbling and things like that, I still think this thing's worth the money. So, if you definitely need something that carries some degree of bombs and two torpedoes for your ship battles, and it can even carry a couple of mines, I'd still pick this thing up. But of course, do learn the stealth. Like, try it with Uni. Obviously, you will get some sparks, but in general, you should be fine.